Hi everyone, we're going to carry on reading Old Bear Tales. We are on to the next story. I have put a little bookmark, a little post-it note, so that I remember where we got to in the book. Let's see. This story is called Wet Bear. Barnaby Bear stood on the doorstep feeling cold and damp. What a day to be left out in the rain! How could they have forgotten that he'd been out in the garden? It just wasn't fair. He was still standing there, gazing out into the rain, when Teddy George came into the kitchen. "Oh dear," he said, "what's happened to you?" "I was out in the garden and I fell asleep," said Barnaby. "Nobody took me in when it started raining and I'm so wet and cold. How can I get warm and dry?" "The best thing to do is to run around," said George. "That always warms you up." Barnaby Bear began to run up and down the kitchen. "Like this," he puffed as he passed George for the 5th time. So he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times up and down the kitchen. "Yes, that's the way," said George. But just as he said it, Dog came through the door and collided with Barnaby. They both landed in a heap. "Why are you running?" asked the dog. "To keep warm," said Barnaby. "Oh, you'd do better to wrap up in something," said Dog. Dog and Teddy George fetched a sheet and wrapped Barnaby up in it. "Do you feel warmer now?" they called. The sheet had been rather large and they couldn't actually see Barnaby anymore. "I feel warmer," came the muffled reply, "but I can't see where I'm going," as he staggered across the floor, trying not to trip over his feet. Hearing all of the muffled voices, Little Bear came trotting in the door. He shrieked, "Ah!" when he saw a lumpy flapping sheet staggering across the room towards him. "A ghost! A ghost!" he cried, and rushed to hide behind Teddy George. "No, it's all right," called the ghost. "It's only me, Barnaby. I'm trying to wrap up to keep warm. I got wet in the garden." "Why don't you just jump up and down?" said Little Bear. "But not dressed as a ghost," he added. "All right," said Barnaby, throwing off the sheet and jumping up and down. "You're right, I am getting warmer, but I can't keep doing this till my fur's dry." "No," said Teddy George, "you can't. You're making all of the plates rattle." "I tell you what, I saw a hot water bottle at the back of the cupboard one day. It could be filled with warm water from the tap. That will warm you up," Teddy George said. He rummaged about and found the old hot water bottle. He looked at it and took it to the tap and filled it with warm water. "Here," he said to Barnaby, "feel that." A happy smile spread across Barnaby's face as he hugged the warm hot water bottle close to his fur. "Oh, it's lovely," he said. "Thank you, Teddy George." Then the smile slowly left his face. "George," he said slowly and thoughtfully, "I think I know why nobody uses this hot water bottle anymore. It leaks." Oh no! He carefully laid the hot water bottle on the ground and looked down at his fur. It was wetter than ever. warm and wet this time. "Oh no!" chorused the others. "Newspaper," said George. "That is what we need." The dog rushed off and returned with newspaper. "Now," said George, opening the newspaper, "you lie on that, Barnaby, and we'll roll you up in it. Newspaper keeps you warm and dry." With the help of the others, Teddy George rolled Barnaby up in the newspaper until he looked just like a sausage roll. "Now what?" said Barnaby, with only his head sticking out of the newspaper roll. "Now we wait," said Teddy George, sitting down. "You can't leave me like this," wailed Barnaby. "We'll let you out when you are dry," said Dog. "But I want to get out now," said Barnaby, rolling around the floor like a cross rolling pin. He tripped Little Bear up and then Dog, and then they all bumped into George. Soon there was a great heap of toys in the middle of the floor. Barnaby wriggled out of the newspaper and out from under the heap. He looked at the dog with his feet in the air and George with Little Bear sitting on his middle, and he began to laugh. He laughed and laughed. "Do you know," he said, "that all that rolling around has completely dried my fur, and laughing is a wonderful way to warm up. I think I shall know what to do if I ever get left out in the rain again." The end. I'm going to put my bookmark back in so that I know where we got to. Thank you for listening.